Today, I want to dive into an interesting interview ESPN's Jordan Reid gave recently about the Los Angeles Chargers and their strategy heading into the 2025 NFL Draft. If you're a football fan, you know Reid's one of the sharpest minds out there when it comes to draft analysis, and he had a lot to say about what the Chargers might do with their picks, especially that 22nd overall selection. The draft's just a few weeks away, set for April 24th, 2025, and Reid broke down the team's needs, their approach, and even made a bold prediction. So let's unpack what he said, and I'll throw in my thoughts along the way. What's up, Chargers fans? Welcome to the NFL Playbook Chargers. If you're new here, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. This channel is all about breaking down everything you need to know about the Bolts. First off, Reid kicked things off by looking back at last year's draft. He pointed out how the Chargers nailed it with Joe Alt, their offensive tackle pick. A year ago, people were debating whether they should have gone for a wide receiver instead. Guys like Malik Neighbors were in the mix, but Reid's convinced they made the right call. Alt's now a cornerstone on their offensive line alongside Rashawn Slater, potentially locking down that unit for a decade. He also gave a shout-out to Lad McConkey, a young receiver who's quickly turned into a go-to guy for Justin Herbert. I agree with Reid here. Alt was a smart, foundational pick, and McConkey's emergence shows they're building something solid. But he didn't sugarcoat it either. The season ended rough with a bad loss to the Texans, and there are still holes to fill. So what are those holes? Reid zeroed in on three big ones: running back, defensive tackle, and tight end. He thinks these are the spots where the Chargers need to upgrade, even after some free agency moves. The team's got 10 picks this year, which gives them flexibility, but Reid's take is that they won't lock themselves into just one position. He's all about letting the draft board come to them. Don't force a pick, just take the best player available. I like that mindset. Too many teams mess up by reaching for a need instead of grabbing talent. With a deep draft class, especially at running back, that approach could really pay off. Speaking of running backs, Reid got into how stacked this year's group is. He name-dropped Ashton Jeanty and Omarion Hampton as the top two guys to watch. Jeanty, he expects, will be gone in the top 10, but Hampton could be there at 22. Reid's clearly high on Hampton, called him a perfect match for Jim Harbaugh's style, with that thick build and tackle-breaking ability. He even compared it to last year when he predicted Braylon Allen would fit Harbaugh's vision. But here's the twist. Reid said it's a gamble. Do you take a top running back early, or trust the depth and grab someone like Kyle Munagai from Rutgers later, maybe in the 4th or 5th round? I think he's spot on about the depth-giving options, but if Hampton's as good as Reid says, he might be too tempting to pass up. Then there's the Jim Harbaugh factor. Reid kept coming back to how Harbaugh's all about physicality and dependability. Guys who live and breathe football. Wide receivers? Not a big priority for Harbaugh, according to Reid. He pointed to Harbaugh's time at Michigan and with the 49ers. Those teams leaned on strong offensive lines, a solid run game, and quarterbacks who manage the game well. Justin Herbert's a different beast, way more talented than what Harbaugh had at Michigan, but Reid still doesn't see them chasing a shiny receiver like Matthew Golden, even if they fall to 22. I get his logic. Harbaugh's old school, but part of me wonders if they might tweak that philosophy a bit for Herbert's sake. On the defensive side, Reid flagged the interior defensive line as a need. He loves Oregon's Derrick Harmon, called him a football guy through and through. Great against the run and as a pass rusher, though he needs to play more under control. Another name? Kenneth Grant from Michigan. Reid thinks Grant's a big ball of clay Harbaugh could mold, especially since he knows him from his Michigan days. I'd lean toward Grant too. Those Michigan ties feel like a safe bet with Harbaugh calling shots. Tight end's another spot Reid highlighted. He likes Elijah Arroyo as a versatile guy who can block and catch, even if he's not a mauler like George Kittle. For a later round pick, he threw out Luke Lachey from Iowa. Great blocker, fits that Harbaugh mold. Iowa tight ends have a solid track record in the NFL, so I think Reid's onto something there. It's a sneaky need that could add balance to the offense. One curveball Reid tossed in was the cornerback class. He said it's strong after Travis Hunter and Will Johnson, with guys like Jahdae Barron and Shaven Revel in the mix, though a lot of them dealt with injuries this year. He sees value in rounds 2 or 3, which makes sense. Joe Hortiz, the GM, loves corners, and they added 2 in free agency already. I'd bet they snag 1 mid-draft to keep that depth stacked. Now, the big moment. Reid's prediction for pick 22. His calling Kenneth Grant, the Michigan defensive tackle. Said Harbaugh's a trenches guy at heart, and Grant fits the bill. Young, moldable, and a familiar face. Reid noted the Chargers got surprising production from vets like Tier Tard and Poona Ford last year, but they need a long-term piece inside. I buy it. Harbaugh's drafted Michigan players before, like Junior Colson, and Grant feels like his type. Reid wrapped up by teasing a 7-round mock draft, dropping April 21st. He's pumped about it, and honestly, I can't wait to see how he maps out all 10 Chargers picks. His track record's solid, so it'll be worth a look. So, what's my take? Reed's analysis lines up with what we know about Harbaugh and Ortiz: build from the trenches, prioritize toughness, don't chase glamour. I think he's right to flag Grant as a likely pick. It's safe and smart, but that running back depth he talked about? It's tempting. If Hampton's there, I could see them pivoting. Either way, Reed's got me convinced the Chargers are playing the long game, and with 10 picks, they've got room to make some noise. What do you all think? Trenches or a playmaker? Let me know.